Anybody who's felt alienated or out of place could identify with these characters.
This could be a story that took place anywhere, in any community. The challenges of adjusting, adapting, and making new friends and finding your way.
I was working on a documentary about a production that Seth was doing in Cuba, and he said, you know, I've got this story that I've always thought would make a great film based on my father's experience at Meharry.
Well, he was one of 4 white students in Meharry Medical School between 64 and 68 in his class. And that sort of fish out of water story is what his story was.
And I said, I think that would make a great film.
And so we just started developing the project back in probably about 2007.
The time period has shifted a little, some of the facts have shifted, but I think the general spirit of the piece of Meharry and at least the professional arc that Seth's father had, that's all true. So I would say it's artistically true, but
Loosely based, did I say loosely?
Very loosely based on facts. So we are on the campus of Stillman College, which is a historically black college in West Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So Stillman's campus looks very much like the older buildings at Meharry Medical College. Partly that's because all of the HBCUs in the country, or most of them, have very similar architectural style. We could have been probably at a number of different HBCUs, but being in Tuscaloosa had a number of advantages kind of production-wise. Also, Meharry is still a working medical school and hospital, so they don't shut down for large periods of time. It's a beautiful kind of stand-in for Meharry.
Andy, our production designers, had to come in and just work with what's available space-wise and then dress that accordingly. And we have to shoot around a lot of things that just simply aren't period. We're not building any sets. We're pushing the equipment to the limits and the crew gets pushed to the limits. But I think the whole team has done a wonderful job at finding those creative solutions and achieving the look and feel as close to what the story deserves as possible.
Excuse me, are you ER? I think Eli looks at Melanie immediately and wants to go out with her, sees her as a woman, not, you know, a black student from Fisk, and that catches my character off guard because I think that we're worlds apart. This is the era when Dr. King was shot. There are sit-ins and there are protests, so our differences are really highlighted in a scary way. It's a difficult romance to make happen.
What I wanted to write about was a time period that people had no business talking to each other, especially people from very different backgrounds, and what can we learn about their ability to connect under very trying times.
Excuse me, I thought I was in 204.
What's your name, newbie?
Dubois, Michael Dubois.
You could say from jump, Michael and Eli kind of are at odds with each other, and from Michael's point of view, especially with Eli being white, I start to feel like things are a little unfair.
I think race plays a role in it. Obviously, these are historically black universities, and he's a white student. But I think it's really great in that it's anybody who's been different in a situation, who's felt different, who's felt alienated or out of place, for any number of reasons, could identify with these characters. I think education is as much a part of this as well, and the pressures of school and family. So, I mean, it is a factor in this movie, but it's not the defining factor.
It's really just kids growing up anywhere. I mean, this could be a story that took place, you know, anywhere, in any community. The challenges of adjusting, adapting, and making new friends and finding your way. And as you find your way, you find yourself.
Am I not allowed to say that I'm here to be successful? To get my ass the hell out of Brooklyn? Is that wrong?
The struggle that Eli goes through is how a young man's dreams die to give way to a grander dream. We're told the American dream is money. And ultimately what this character comes to, and I think that this is a compelling story and a lesson for us as we all struggle with this question, which is that success is what I achieve internally from the actions that I take. And that's something he doesn't understand at the beginning of the film and does at the end of the film, that through serving other people, he ultimately serves himself.
Seth and Aaron, I think, put together a really wonderful project. really impressed with them, and so it's been a great experience.
From actors to crew to our director of photography to our costume designer to our set designer, everyone is working either substantially beneath what they're usually paid or they're not being paid at all.
I'm under contract, but if it wasn't, I would do it just for the love of being able to be a part of such a great cause.
A lot of the people working on this are either my students or Aaron Greer students, and they've sort of grown up and gone into the world, and it's sort of the prodigal sons and daughters coming back to help out.
Aaron was my professor, and I was one of a couple of former students of his that he asked to join the production, and I said, yeah, sure. I took some time off work. When the opportunity came, I was all for it.
I think it's a credit to the subject matter, and I think most people thought, hey, this is something cool.
When you can bring something that's really high quality together without a huge studio backing it, it's a very proud artistic thing to be a part of.
It's sort of a group of people that are actually practicing service to man, which is kind of amazing that what we're trying to achieve with the story is what they're doing as they create the story with us.
It's worth it, you know, regardless of quote-unquote how little it may be or how people may perceive it. This is a big deal. This is a big film. It's a big project, and it has a big heart, and I think it has big possibilities.